Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. This is episode number 109. A big thank you to everyone who continues to tune in every week to find out about our guest or our guests, to find out what he or she has to say. I appreciate now our global audience. It's great to know that people from all over the world are tuning in. As you know, we're currently trending. I'm not sure if that's the right expression. We're currently trending as the #1 Hare Krishna podcast in the world. We're getting more views than any other Hare Krishna podcast, which is fantastic. I thank you all for your support. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to hit that all-important subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts from the Hare Krishna Project. And if you're watching this on Facebook, to either like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page so you can be kept updated about future podcasts and video productions from the Hare Krishna Project as well. Okay, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome our 109th guest this week. It's the first time ever, I think, we've had a guest from Singapore, so it's another historic podcast. Please welcome His Grace Sundar Gopal Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
you very much.
It's great to have you on the show at last. I wanted to reach out to you for some time, and by Krishna's arrangement, we're doing this recording today. So in a moment, we'll find out more about which organization that you lead. But let's start with a nice, easy question. It's the question that every guest gets first. Please tell us a bit about you and where you are from.
Well, I am actually born in Singapore, and I came in contact with Srila Prabhupada in 1975 through his books, and that kind of inspired me. And finally, I got connected to him by initiation in 1977, and that started my spiritual journey. And of course, something unique about Singapore is that this is the only country in the world that actually deported Prabhupada. He came in for a few hours and then he was not allowed to enter in, though there were some programs lined up for him. This happened in the year 1971, I think, or 72, March, 30th. So then it was a very big uphill task because they were not allowing the Hare Krishna at all to function in Singapore.
Wow.
So it took me about 50 years of my life to put the society back in the country.
Why?
I'm 69 years old now.
Wow. Why was Srila Prabhupada deported from Singapore?
Well, they just didn't want him to come in, So I guess the country has got its own policies, We are not going to, we can't anyway talk about it because they have their policies. If they say no, then it is a no. So we have to live with it. And of course, there are many other hurdles, We couldn't register the society. And I had to, work with a defunct society, which was called Shiva Mandir, And I had to use that and do my Krishna conscious work. Of course, it was very challenging. And then, of course, I had finally had a chance to talk to them, and they kind of allowed me to work with a new society, which we call Sri Krishna Mandir, on condition that I have no affiliation with ISKCON. So I had to take it because otherwise how am I going to work?
Wow.
So with that, then we slowly, kind of establish ourselves more and more and more, little by little, And finally now we have got it registered as International Sri Krishna Mandir.
Wow. So please tell us a bit about the International Sri Krishna Mandir in terms of how did it come about, what is its history, and what are its aims and objectives?
Sri Krishna Mandir, I mean, any society here in Singapore has to be unaffiliated with any international organization. That's one of the conditions. They have to be localized. So we could not open the name ISKCON here. It was not allowed from the onset. So we had to choose another name. So already I was working with Shiva Mandir. They asked me to close that down and open a new society. So I chose naturally Sri Krishna Mandir. I did not know that it has got eventually it will come to this level where we had international status and it will come to ISKM. This is all, I mean, it was not in my mind at that time. Of course, this was way back in 1997. And our objective was basically to preach what Prabhupada, said about in his books. Of course, they did not ban us from distributing his books. They allowed us to do that. So there was an advantage. So by distributing his books and opening a temple and then having, programs and everything, one by one, things starts falling in. And the deities, of course, the deities here, I don't know, you have seen pictures of them.
I have, yes. Beautiful.
Yeah, they are not some deity that I went and bought on the from India or something like that. They actually came to me in a vision. And gosh, it's something very, I would say, very inspiring to me. One day while I finished my morning program, I was kind of a little lying down. Then I saw Krishna come in from the door, and he was kind of smiling. And so I first thing I said, I was at that time having only about 2, 3 devotees only. I said, "Oh Krishna, you have come. How am I going to, take care of you?" And then Krishna was looking that way, and then I saw so many devotees. So that kind of inspired me. And of course, then again, Prabhupada was also there, and she was also smiling. So I took it as a blessing that Krishna would want to come. So then we asked everyone to help donate for a deity and all that, but it didn't happen. One devotee was passing by and he said, "Hey, look, your temple needs deities. So I have them and I'll send them to you." So of course I did not tell whether it's a black Krishna or white Krishna. Sometimes the deities are different marble color. So then when he sent the deities, when I opened the box, it was exactly the same deity that came in my vision. So I mean it was a very, what would say, remarkable inspiration for me. And then, of course, we started to move on from there to get our place and all this, one thing after the other. And our society was growing also. Many devotees joined. And also, we had these issues with all the gurus. They were coming and taking advantage of all the man that we were making, preaching and making. And then they started all these separate groups and all that. And the moment they get initiated, they kind of work in a very antagonistic manner towards us. So I had to go through all that, all those things that everybody in ISKCON, the older people, they know. And having lived with that, you could see that something is not right. Every time it gets fractionalized, all the hard work. I had first was Hansuduta, and then it was Tamal, and then it was Lokanath, Gaur Govinda, Jaya Pataka, you name it. So then in 1997, or 1996, then I kind of read the final order from the IRM camp, and I kind of understood very clearly that what Prabhupada actually meant, and the evidences were all overwhelming. So that led me to declare our Singapore temple as the first Ritvik temple in the whole world. So we actually were the first temple in the world.
Which year was that?
1997. Of course, it subsequently led us into being excommunicated by ISKCON GBC. That happened in the year 2000. So we were, I mean, we are not bothered anyway because in Singapore, they are not allowed to come inside. It was one of the rules of the government here. So I didn't bother whether I had to be with them or not with them. My main idea was to work to preach Krishna consciousness, you know. So as we were established as Sri Krishna Mandir, then we tried to uh, expand our, I would say, method of Prabhupada being the guru to other like-minded devotees. So I think we went to New Zealand and we got in touch with the devotees there. And of course, they were also on the same boat, you know. So we were trying to kind of work together with all the other, and then they, you know, one of them recommended us for someone in the Philippines, and before that we went into China, and we got also a lot of Chinese devotees on our side, and we opened a branch there. Got open one in Philippines, and then of course Malaysia was the first country that I ventured into before New Zealand. So we had, you know, quite a bit of devotees there. And of course, in India, one of our men, he went to India and he started the movement in Pondicherry. And then it kind of now we are in the verge of opening a temple in Pondicherry. Went to other states, and because then we got team up with devotees in Europe, in Hungary. We got also devotees in Russia. They have quite a congregation there. So in this way, our society gradually became International Sri Krishna Mandir. You know? So many devotees, they were very convinced with our, you know, arguments and our presentation, and especially this book, you know, it's the IA-77. I'm sure you must have seen it. So we had, you know, put in all the facts, and of course we also have our Ritvik video. I think you must have seen it also.
I've seen that. Yes, I've seen it.
So with all this, you know, we say preaching materials, it made a big impact, you know, because many people are actually knowing that something is not right, you know. Because Prabhupada said very clearly when he was asked by Sat Surup, I'm sure you know the May 28 conversation, and there Prabhupada was asked how to do initiation by Sat Surup, particularly when you are no longer here with us, how to do first and second initiation. Prabhupada said, yes, after this is settled up, I will appoint some of you as officiating Acharya. And then Tamal injected, he said, is that Ritvik Acharya? Prabhupada said, Ritvik, yes, because there's no such word as Ritvik Acharya. A Ritvik is a representative of the Acharya. That's why Prabhupada used the word officiating Acharya. So the word Ritvik is also spoken by Prabhupada in the May 28 conversation. And then, of course, you know, conversations are conversation. Prabhupada wanted to say something to the whole movement, he will definitely write it down. So he wrote the July 9 directive. It cannot be called a letter because there were two signatures on it, Tamal's and Prabhupada's. I'm sure you must have seen the letter, July 9. There clearly Prabhupada spelled out the function of the Ritvik and whose disciple they're going to be. 3 times in the letter it says they're going to be Prabhupada disciples. So again, there's concrete evidence of what Prabhupada mentioned on May 28 and then the July 9. Then we study the will of Prabhupada. the Wheel of Prabhupada is on the 6th, I think 5th of June or 6th, 5th of June 1977. And there again, Prabhupada listed out that if any, the ISKCON, the what do you call it, the management is be entrusted to the GBC, the ultimate management authority. You didn't say guru. If you say guru, then there's GBCs have got no ultimate authority. So again, the director, this is a very important word, the director of these properties, if he failed, then a subsequent director must be appointed, provided he is my initiated disciple. Now, who's going to be Prabhupada disciple when all his disciples are dead and gone? See? So all this evidence is not something that, you can brush aside and say that the Ritvik thing is bogus, So with overwhelming evidence, anyone is intelligent, then yes. Of course, I was involved with IRM initially, myself and the Calcutta president, and also the Bangalore president, and of course the movement that is there now in England with IRM. So we actually broke away in the year 2003, owing to differences in, of working ideas, because the whole idea of uh, this is to start having people getting initiated to Prabhupada. Now, if you start a movement like this and you just say, no, we will just wait and wait and wait, then that's not going to be taking an institution forward, especially people like us who are running temples. You require pujaris, you require cooks, you require Brahmins, you require so many people, devotees, And if we're going to stop that initiation program, then how is it going to function? So many people question us, IRM, ISKM, how you chose yourself to become the Ritvik representative. I mean, I can't just stand up and say, look here, from today I'll become the representative. That is not so Vaishnavic, You can't do something like that. Of course, Prabhupada wanted the GBC, and we have been so small, we don't have the capacity to have GBCs, So we kind of had all temple presidents, and we invited all of them and said, look, we don't have a GBC, and below the GBC, the temple presidents. In fact, you read Prabhupada's letters and all that, he kind of gave a lot of support to the president as well. So in this situation, so we asked, took a vote, consensus of all our temple presidents, and they all nominated, generally me as the Ritvik representative, since I'm the senior most member, and in good standing. I mean, I hope so. I'm still trying to be a devotee. So then I took up the role as the Ritvik representative of Srila Prabhupada. So then, of course, as a representative, then we started the initiation programs, and then I introduced people to Prabhupada, make them all Prabhupada disciples, and also trying to also help them, spiritually, giving them some Shiksha guidance. So in this way, we have steered the movement from 1990, the year 2003, 4, the present 2023, 24 now.
How big is the ISKM? How many temples do you have, and how many members do you think you have?
I think we have about how many? One in Australia, one in Philippines, one in China, Bangladesh, India. We have a couple of them, and Russia we have a couple.
Wow.
And in America now, we started a few places in America: LA, Dallas, New Jersey. So we have an expanding, growth of temples coming to work with us,
And how many, in terms of the main central place in Singapore, your kind of headquarters, how big is that community, that congregation there?
Oh, here we have in Rath Yatra, here we have 15,000 people attending our Rath Yatra.
Wow.
And our Janmashtami attracts at least about quite to 5,000 to 7,000 people, And we have a full-time crew of about at least about 10 people, 10, 15 people. We have got congregational members. Every Sunday we get at least about 100, 150 people. And we have a membership strength here about more than at least about 1,500 people.
Wow.
So, and we have a farm just next door in Malaysia, a 4
Yeah.
acre. So we are kind of, in our own way established, to help others advance spiritually. And the main thing is that in our circle, that's different from others, is that we are specifically interested in giving people Krishna, and that's what Prabhupada wanted. And that means give the knowledge that Prabhupada has so painstakingly written the books. And our ISKM members, they are trained to understand Prabhupada through his books. So in our temple, if you are speaking anything, I'm sure you must have watched in some of our lectures or whatever, and you see that we always quote references from Prabhupada books.
Mm.
That's our specialty, actually. We teach the Shastra. Because if you don't know the Shastra, then what is the point? Just speculating will not help.
Do you have any links or relationships with other Ritvik temples or groups? For
No,
example, ISKCON Bangalore. Do you have any connection with them?
no, we don't have any. We are totally independent, solely on ourselves.
Mm.
They are having their methods of pushing on, and we have ours.
When I started my own research into the diversity of Gaudiya Vaishnavism about 4 or 5 years ago, if I'm honest, I was surprised about how many Ritvik groups there are. I just thought that all the Ritviks agreed with each other and they were all friends and they all got on. But actually, in the UK, we have 4 Ritvik groups, for example. And there must be tens of Ritvik groups all over the world. And there's
Could be.
different views on what the Ritvik order is and how it should be
And
implemented.
you see, the same thing happening also in ISKCON. Yeah, although they work under one umbrella, but they have all their guru camps. They don't agree with each other anyways. So what's the difference? Yes, except that they call themselves ISKCON. Of course, here they call different names, and they have their, center as Prabhupada.
Mm,
So although we did try to work with them and try to work together, but we find it a bit difficult.
mm,
Not that we didn't try, we did, but we find that better we do our own thing. And if we grow, yes. And if someone wants to cooperate, we are always open to that. Not saying that we don't want to cooperate. It's just a matter of trying to see whether we can work or not.
mm,
Usually it's difficult because when you are outside India, you got different rules, different regulations. And if you go to another country, they have different rules, different regulations. It's very difficult to reconcile.
On your website, on the ISKM website, it says there are 2 parts to your mission, the mission of ISKM. So, part 1 is the propagation of Krishna consciousness, and part 2 is offering a viable alternative to ISKCON. I would
Yes.
I would like to talk about part 2 for a moment in terms of why do we, so a bit of a rhetorical question, why do we need a viable alternative to ISKCON, and why are you trying to be that alternative?
If you see in this verse, this is from the CC. You see here.
Mm,
No, what is going? So this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. You read this line here. The order of the spiritual master is the active principle in spiritual life. Anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. Here's the opinion of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Persons who strictly follow the order of the spiritual master are useful in executing the will of the Supreme, whereas persons who deviate from the strict order of the spiritual master are useless. So here you see, as we have proven in without any doubt, that Prabhupada ordered the Ritvik system. So if you don't follow that, then you become useless, you know. And how is that they are useless? You see what happens if you follow leaders who are ignorant, you know. So in this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, leaders who have fallen into ignorance, who mislead people by directing them to the path of distraction described in the previous verse, are in fact boarding a stone boat. And so too are those who blindly follow them. A stone boat will be unable to float and will sink in water with its passengers. Similarly, those who are misled go to hell and their followers go with them. So it is not some kind of a joke, you know. Prabhupada has given a very strict order and you are not following them. Then what will happen to you and your so-called followers? So therefore, our society here, ISKM, is giving this viable alternative that you become a disciple of Prabhupada. And that's most important thing in the whole spiritual life, because if the faith of the spiritual master and the disciple is not, together, then the whole thing collapses. You know, a person cannot make advancement if it doesn't have, strong faith in the spiritual master. In this verse, you can see it is explained here. The mind is like an impetuous horse that even persons who are regulated their senses and breath cannot control. Those in this world who try to tame the uncontrolled mind by to abandon the feet of the spiritual master encounter hundreds of obstacles in the cultivation of various distressful practices. And this is what's going on. All they have is so many problems. Oh, unborn Lord, they are like merchants on a boat in the ocean who have failed to employ helmsmen. So all these are evidences from the scriptures to explain, how Prabhupada has, and then they criticize us, hey, this is not Shastric, this is bogus. How can Prabhupada introduce something which is kind of off the, Shastric thing and all that? You can see here what it says here. O Lord, who resemble the shining sun, you are always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotee, and therefore you are known as a desiratory Vancha Kalpataru. When acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of Nisan, they leave behind on earth the method of which they cross. And because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you accept this method to help them. So this clearly shows how Prabhupada has given us a method. This is Shastra, this is Bhagavatam, you know. And in the purport, Prabhupada said very clearly, you see here. The Acharya's duty is to find means which devotees render devotional service from reference from the Shastra. So here Prabhupada is saying about Rupa Goswami and all that, but the main thing is that he's saying here, he says here about chanting 16 rounds, see, chanting 16 rounds. Now 16 rounds is not in the Shastra, What is in the Shastra is 64 rounds. So if you can accept 16 rounds from Prabhupada, why you cannot accept the Ritvik system that is so kindly given? And then he qualify himself to change things around because he says he is the Acharya Sampradaya. And he says the Acharya Sampradaya is very bona fide. The Acharya Sampradaya is strictly bona fide. See? Sorry. Is strictly bona fide. Therefore, one must accept the Acharya Sampradaya, otherwise one endeavor will be futile. So, you see, all these are evidence from Prabhupada himself. We cannot try to invent something, or just because we have been appointed by Prabhupada to become the GBC, therefore you got ultimate authority, doesn't mean that you can act independently from Prabhupada. That doesn't flow. Prabhupada has clearly said what is the role of the GBC. They are supposed to uphold his instructions and teachings, and they're not supposed to change anything. That they are not given that facility.
Do you
So
think that? Do you think that one of
sorry.
the no, sorry, Prabhu. Do you think one of the main reasons for all of these problems happening now in ISKCON is a result of not following Prabhupada's instructions? You know,
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
I've studied lots of religions over the years, and I've never ever met a religious group like ISKCON that's having so many multiple problems at the same time.
yes.
And it's quite unbelievable to just observe and watch it happen.
Because you deviate from Prabhupada, says, I showed you the verse. The moment you deviate, then you are useless. Immediately you become useless. You cannot try to, think that now you've been appointed by Prabhupada. No, Prabhupada has not given anyone the order to become the next in line. He has only appointed Ritvik representatives who are supposed to do this initiation on behalf of him. So when you try to become a full-fledged guru against his instruction, then that's disobedience. And this is spiritual life. Spiritual life means Krishna is in full control. And if you disobey the spiritual master, then Krishna is not going to be pleased. You see here, and this was from the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead who is situated in everyone as the Super Soul, sells himself, see the word here,
Mm.
huh? To his devotees such as Narada Muni. In other words, the Lord gives pure love to such devotees and gives himself to those who love him purely. Now look, Prabhupada definitely, without any tint of doubt, is definitely sent by Krishna. Everyone can agree to that. And if you disobey him, and definitely you're not going to be pleased by Krishna. Krishna is not going to be happy with you. You can see here in another place. This is an incident of the Kuveras, the two Kuveras. Although these two young men are the sons of a very rich Kuvera, and I have nothing to do with them. Devarishi Narada is my very dear and affectionate devotee, and therefore, because he wanted me to come face to face with them, I must do so for their deliverance. Krishna has got nothing to do with us. You think just because you are chanting and all that, you think Krishna is going to embrace you or what? Please. It's only because of Prabhupada that we are going to have anything to do with Krishna.
Mm.
And if you disobey him, then how are you going to get any strength? It doesn't work. Spiritual life is based on spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, that is. So this point is already been, I would say, they have deviated and they have displeased Prabhupada. That's why you get, once you displease Prabhupada, then you see in this verse, this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this verse, when you commit an offense, When devotee commits an offense at the feet of Vaishnava by cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. See? And that's what's happening. You can see. If the philosophy is so sound, see, such an offense, especially, giving up the regular principle living according to one's whim is compared to a mad elephant, which by force uproots the bhakti lata and breaks it to pieces. And that's where the bhakti lata shows up. Such an offense is especially created when one disobeys the instruction of the spiritual master. This is called Guru Avagya. The devotee must therefore be very careful not to commit offense against the spiritual master by disobeying his instruction. As soon as one is deviated from the instruction of the spiritual master, uprooting of the bhakti lata begins and gradually all the leaves dry up. So this is what's happening. You don't need to, not a big rocket science, anyone's in the movement, they can see what's yeah, spiritually you're supposed to make advancement to come to the level of being a pure devotee. And if you're falling down, that means what kind of class you are. Not even second class, your third class only falls down.
One of the responses from people who don't follow the Ritvik order is this. So everyone's read the July the 9th, 1977 letter. And everyone, it's probably the most most read letter in the Hare Krishna movement, to be honest. So many people have
No,
read
I
that letter.
disagree.
You
No,
don't agree?
I disagree because this letter has been shunned, or what we say, hidden, from all the devotees. Practically, they don't want to expose. What they show them is the May 28th conversation where Prabhupada said, grand disciple, grand disciple. They highlight that, and they play down the word. Prabhupada said, yes, grand disciple, and he becomes a regular guru, but by order. That order is not highlighted at all. And then the July 9 letter is hushed up. Oh, this is the letter is given because Prabhupada was sick, and that's it.
An
And many
alternative.
in the movement have not even seen that letter up to today. I just came back from where? Philippines, yeah, and I said, no, how come I'm 30 years in the movement? I've not seen this at all. They are playing it all down. They don't want to, as there's a popular saying, how you grow mushrooms, keep them in the dark and feed them all students. That's what it is. That's the problem. When you keep all people in third class platform, then how you expect the movement to be vibrant preaching? There's no more preaching in the movement anyway. They're all sentimental classes, talks on basic stuffs. Huh? Nobody showing you any verses and explaining the books. No.
In the West, in the UK, the term that we would use is wishy-washy. It means just kind of airy fairy, let's talk about our feelings, but there's no references to Sastra, there's no references to Prabhupada. It's about, just be a good person. And I agree with that. It's good to be a good person, but every religion teaches that. So how is Bhakti Yoga different? How are the teachings of Srila Prabhupada different? So I would agree with you that a lot of preaching, if we can call it that, is just wishy-washy nonsense. It's not based on
Yeah.
anything.
Unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. You understand? So Prabhupada stressed the knowledge, He, in fact, he say, rather than giving all this food, it's better you give knowledge. You understand? So if you're not going to give the knowledge, and then how you expect people to advance? Huh? So where is the teaching? So that's going to be, it becomes like a, an insurance movement where there's a big turnover of salesperson. What the Prabhupada at one point say, boil the milk. I'm sure you know.
Mm.
And don't make any devotees, train those you have got. How to train anyone when your top people are falling down like, 10 pins? Huh?
I mean, one of the responses from ISKCON and others to the July the 9th, 1977 letter would be that yes, Prabhupada appointed the 11 Ritviks, but it was a temporary appointment while Prabhupada was physically present. So the Ritvik order ended on the 15th of November 1977.
That's a
What's your
lie.
response to that?
See, there was a question on May 28th. May 28th, Prabhupada asked by Satsru what to do, how to do initiation, particularly when you are no longer here with us.
Mm.
And Prabhupada said, yes, I will appoint some of you as Ritvik representative of the Acharya. So how can this question and the answer substantiate that argument that it's all finished after Prabhupada left? The whole idea is to put in a system when Prabhupada no longer here with us. And Prabhupada said Ritvik very clearly. I mean, Prabhupada is not an idiot, no? Come on. And they're
Definitely not.
making him like that. They're making him like that.
Mm.
And as a result, you see the consequence. The whole movement is in a mess. Hmm?
Mm.
That's the proof that you judge the tree by the fruit it produces. No.
Mm. Mm.
You understand? We cannot try to, invent something unless it's now I showed you the verse, unless you are Acharya Sampradaya. You are kind of appointed or, selected by Prabhupada or, ordered by Prabhupada, but that's no such order. Hmm?
What I've noticed over the last 2 or 3 years is that we're definitely seeing an increase in interest in the Ritvik order again. So it became, I think, quite popular in the 1980s because of fall downs in ISKCON. And I see it now as kind of someone who's more of a sociologist looking at the movement. I can see it happening again now because all of these issues with child abuse in ISKCON, and more people are again turning to this Ritvik order approach. And I see that the Ritvik order is the interest in the Ritvik order is growing.
I think it is growing mainly because people are now having the opportunity to hear our viewpoints being presented in the internet.
Mm.
A lot of, our videos are out there, and people, when they hear them, they are pretty convinced because we are showing with all evidences. Like now I'm showing you all these things, and not that I'm inventing all these words. It's not my speculation. Huh?
Mm. Mm.
Is it? This is from the CC. Is it my speculation? No. I'm just showing you what Prabhupada said.
Absolutely.
So if you, and generally people have faith in Prabhupada.
Mm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you show them what Prabhupada actually meant and wanted, then why would anyone not accept? I mean, if you have given a choice that you can become a disciple of Prabhupada by Prabhupada's order by himself, then why would anyone stop? And why would anyone not do that?
Mm.
Yes? Now,
Mm.
I've given you the choice. You said you are a disciple of so and so. Now, if I tell you that you are actually a disciple of Prabhupada, won't that increase your faith?
Oh, definitely. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a disciple of Prabhupada?
Yes.
He's like a
Prabhupada,
spiritual safe pair of hands.
yes. And Prabhupada wanted everybody to be his disciple, period.
Mm.
Because if we were to push this movement, then the gurus will have to run outside on the road, begging for food and shelter. And now they're flying first class and eating, such opulent food, having so many kind of food washing and so many things. And why would they want to give that up? Come on, it has become what we say, the corrupt, when they get the power, then they become absolutely corrupt. So
Does
how to send this message to the masses? I mean,
mm,
lucky now we have the internet. In
mm,
those days when we were starting, we had nothing. It was very difficult, because
mm,
they had the control of all the ISKCON temples. How to educate them? Nobody, everyone is so frightened because they are so, like mafias. If anyone shows some interest, is immediately, excommunicated, banned from coming to the temple, beaten, this, that. I was also threatened. I had a letter, that someone says he's going to shoot me. So people are, they don't want to get themselves hurt, or they don't want mess. They just want to be Mr. Nice Guy.
mm, mm. Does ISKCON have a temple now in Singapore?
Oh yeah, they have a, another organization here registered in different name,
Mm,
but they're not, you know, really doing anything substantial like us. We have full-time members. They don't. You see. We have deities. We have big festivals. They hardly do that.
mm. And there's no engagement between the two of you at all. There's no correlation or anything, no communication.
Because you see, this is another thing, when a person takes initiation from the so-called gurus and they become, fanatic about them,
Mm,
then everything is closed. They don't want
yeah.
to listen to anything other than, just their gurus. That's it.
That's the problem with fanaticism, is
Yes,
that people become very tunnel visioned, and there that does exist in the Hare Krishna movement quite a bit.
yeah,
their guru is as good as God.
yes, and anything against him is Vaishnava Parat.
Hmm.
Anybody who speaks all this philosophy here is treated as someone who is, deviant, and no, 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 I don't want to hear all this truth and all that. No, 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 it is all fabricated. No. Then how to preach
Hmm.
to such people?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think from what I've observed, I think the ISKM has done a really good job of promoting what you do, of promoting Krishna consciousness, and of promoting the Ritvik order. I mean, when I look in on YouTube or Google and I search for what is the Ritvik order, that video that you produced is one of the, I think, the first to appear. It's a very simple video that's easy to understand. I mean, whenever I interview a guest who follows the Ritvik order, I always watch that video because it it helps me with my preparation. And you're absolutely right. The internet is so powerful. These podcasts are being watched by 2, 3, 4,000 people every week from all over the world,
Yes.
including the management of ISKCON. I know they watch these podcasts because people tell me. I often receive emails about the things that I say or what the guest says.
I
Um,
mean, if we were to put Prabhupada together, then there's nothing in the world can stand against us. Absolutely nothing.
mm,
I was there in the movement. I mean, in 1975, 77, we were thinking how to take over the world. That was our, mood. And now where are we? And where is the world?
well, it's amazing that the ISKM is now in what, 10 countries, 8 countries at least.
15 countries, more or
15
less.
countries. That's amazing. And, in China as well. I mean, China's not an easy place to preach in, is it?
No, no, it's very, very difficult. More so now after the new president.
I've seen on the internet you've got one. He looks Western. You have a
Yeah, it's a Canadian. It's Canadian. Imani Tai, that's his name.
yeah. He's very active online. He's
Yes,
living in
yes,
China as the ISKM preacher.
yes,
I've seen him on the internet.
yes. He has made many videos.
Yeah,
And another
yeah.
person is our Tattva Prabhu. He is also equally, making many videos, but mostly in India. His channels are very appreciated.
Mm.
So because now the amount of viewers who are very much interested mainly come from India, you know, because the Indians are kind of a little bit more open now, you know. Whereas in the other countries, I mean, anyway, the preaching is down in most countries. I don't see any more vibrancy that you saw in the 70s or the 80s, you know. It has become, I would say, an influx of Indians who expatriates who have migrated to those countries, and they are the one who are flocking into the temple, and they are more interested in their career than, you know, surrendering to Prabhupada, giving their life and all, you know, pushing on.
And that's what we're seeing here in the West. So here in the UK, not every ISKCON temple, but a lot of the ISKCON temples in the UK have become like a home for the Indian community or the Indian diaspora.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's great that anybody wants to go, Indian or not. I'm not criticizing that. But what you're seeing as a result is that Western people like me are now going elsewhere. We're going to maybe other mats. For example, the Sri Shida Maharaj group, they have 2 temples in London. They're very successful. Also, other groups like Bliss, they're a very successful Western group as well. So people are going elsewhere for their
No,
spiritual.
see, this is the problem, you know. The problem is that if you are actually advanced like Prabhupada, so you can, you know, make it international. Everybody can come and stay and work and preach. But if you don't preach, then if you get a lot of influx of Indians, then they bring their so-called standards inside and you compromise, then the whole thing is finished. The whole idea is to elevate everybody, either Indian, Japanese, Russian, whoever, you know, to a higher level. As in the Krishna conscious level, you're above the modes and everybody can work together. That's just like when in the 70s we had all the white devotees, we were Indians, we were all, you know, so fired up and pushing on. So when you do not have the preaching to elevate people to higher consciousness and you keep them in their bodily concept, then you're going to have a lot of problems. And then it becomes like bird of the feather will flock together. So the preaching is what is most important, as Prabhupada said, preaching is the essence. And how are you going to preach if you have disobeyed Prabhupada? You can see the moment you disobey Prabhupada, you see what happens, you know, look. So in this verse, members of the renounced order who fail to uproot the last traces of material desire in their hearts remain impure, and thus you do not allow them to understand you. Although you are present within their hearts, for them you are like a jewel worn around the neck of a man who has totally forgotten it is there. O Lord, those who practice yoga only for sense gratification must suffer punishment both in this life and in the next, from death who will not release them, and from you whose kingdom they cannot reach. This is what happens when you fall down. You deviate from the instruction of Prabhupada, then how are you going to get the strength to preach? So then what's the next step? You compromise because you want the flock. Otherwise your temple will be deserted, you know. So when you bring all these Indians who are a little bit more, have got some culture, then they also bring with them all the anarthas, especially demigod worship, karma yoga, all this stuff. Then what happens? It becomes like a Hindu temple. And I'm not wrong. They're slowly bringing Ganesh and, you know, Shiva and whatnot. The point. You understand? The problem is the preaching. And now by preaching, you elevate people to our Vaishnava standard. It doesn't matter whether you're white, blue, green, red, black, whatever. But if you don't, unless you're on a higher level, how you can bring people up in the higher level? Common sense, you know? So the problem is this, that you are in the neophyte level and you cannot preach, Therefore, you have practically sold the movement to all these people, and they have taken over.
Mm. If you so lots of people watch this podcast, 2, 3, 4,000. If you could give everybody watching, all the viewers, one piece of advice, what would it be?
I mean, they have to go and take shelter of Prabhupada again. That's all. Put back the system that he wanted, and immediately you will get spiritually connected. As Prabhupada said to Kirtananda, I mean to Satsarup, when he was saying about Kirtananda, who was going to preach in Harvard,
Mm.
I've got that in my, I'll just read that,
Yes, please.
That letter, maybe I can retrieve that.
Yes, please. It's the
I
joys
have.
of the internet. You can find and do anything online these days. It's great. And I love it when the guest likes to screen share because we can see lots of exciting things like this. That's a bit of
I
color.
like to show you my Evernote. Okay, here I hope I can show you. We can read it together. This is a very important letter,
Mm,
actually.
mm.
It's written in 1967 to Satsarup, where Prabhupada. Not. Oh, maybe I should close this one. Oh yes.
You might need to stop screen share and start again, maybe. Uh,
Okay, I got it now. Oh, sorry.
don't worry, I'm not looking at your private messages.
I mean,
I
I'm
don't I
70.
don't I don't know these people anyway.
I'm 70 years old, trying to get speed on this stuff, it's kind of I'll open
Okay,
this.
I think we're almost there.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's opening up now. So it's very, very interesting, to read all these things and see how the movement is practically going in what direction. It is, it is not gone. It is still you can save, You just have to do what Prabhupada
Mm,
says.
mm, mm.
If you can do what Prabhupada says, then immediately, I'm sorry, this thing is
It's
taking
okay.
time.
It's okay. So just explain which letter you're going to show us. What's the
It's a
context?
letter that, let me read to you.
Yeah. Okay.
It is a very interesting letter, actually. All right, here it is. Kirtananda, well, maybe what I'll do, okay, I'm opening up. All right, I'm opening up now. Oh, what is,
Almost there.
all right. So here in this letter, Prabhupada is saying, okay, I got that.
Almost there.
I got this now. Actually, usually I use the folio. You have to forgive me for.
It's okay. Um,
I will just do another way now. Give me a
it's
minute.
okay. I'll just while you're looking for the letter, I'll just uh thank our viewers at home or wherever they watch this podcast for tuning in this week. Cannot believe we made it to the 109th episode. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to hopefully leave some constructive feedback. What do you think about this podcast? What do you think about what we're doing here at the Hare Krishna Project? And if you're watching it on Facebook, you can do the same as well. Don't forget, you can get in touch with the Hare Krishna Project, info@harekrishnaproject.org, where I've received a lot of emails on a regular basis. Have you found the letter?
Yeah.
Almost there. And I appreciate each and every one of you that emails. Sorry it takes me such a long time to respond to some emails, because you want a lengthy response, and I don't always have the time to do that. Just allowing Prabhuji to find that letter. I'm absolutely delighted we've got someone from the ISKM on the podcast this week. I've been wanting to interview Prabhuji from the ISKM for quite a long time, actually.
Here you can see this letter.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, got it.
Chitananda may be eager to address in the Harvard University, but recently has lost his link on account of disobedience. You sing every day morning that by the mercy of the spiritual master, one can please the Lord, and one who has not pleased the spiritual master cannot have any access to the realm of Krishna consciousness. Very recently, Kirtananda has developed a different consciousness of Maya, which is called misuse of one's minute independence offered by Krishna. By misuse of one's independence, one at once becomes a victim of Maya, and thus he loses all importance in Krishna consciousness. So it is my definite opinion that his lecture anywhere now will bear no spiritual sequence. He must rectify his mistake before he can play in our society any important role. By lips he said that he is surrendered soul, by action he is thinking differently. Letter to Surup, Friday, October 6, 1967, Delhi.
Wow.
So you cannot try to, say, yeah, we are Prabhupada, but you have to be Prabhupada 10%. You have to follow his direction, his instruction. So until you're connected again, spiritually, you become dead. So if you want at all the movement to get back to his real, preaching enthusiasm and all, they have to put Prabhupada back as a spiritual master for everybody, Diksha Guru. And by right, it is a fact. Everyone is Prabhupada disciple. See, and if you take up the process, of course, privately, if you want to jump the ship and join the Ritvik movement like us, then you will see again, you will feel so much enthusiasm, so much of spiritual strength. It come and flow. It flows, and that's the secret, as Krishna explained in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, he explains, the moment you become my devotee and my friend, then you can understand these secrets. So this is automatic because it's a spiritual thing, you see. Unfortunately, so here in this verse, you can see how Krishna is explaining, this word is rahasya, means secrets, This very ancient science of relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and therefore can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So you see how you have to become a devotee, and that also through a spiritual master like Prabhupada. If you try to disobey him and try to reinvent your nonsense, then it's not going to work. Because I already showed you, Krishna sells himself to his pure devotee. And without any doubt, Prabhupada is the pure devotee. And if you disobey him, then how far you can go? You're gonna only meet problems. You're going to create doubts, you're going to create problems, and everything is going to be a mess. Practically now there are two movements now. One, they have got the North American GBC, and then they got the Indian side. They're not working in hand. Why? Is the problem?
Mm. A lot of division. There's a
Yes.
lot of division.
Hmm.
Um, so what are the kind of future plans or what for the ISKM? If we could fast forward 25 years, where do you see the ISKM and in terms of temples and preaching and things like that?
Well, our movement, Prabhupada predicted will go on for the next 10,000 years.
Mm,
Because he was saying more on his books. So if you accept, I mean, eventually all my God brothers, including myself, we're all going to be dead and gone. You know? So there are more, I would say, chances of Prabhupada being in the center more when things started going, forward. But the main thing is the education. So the ISKM is kind of a, embarking on this to give this knowledge, understanding through Prabhupada books. I'm not showing you anything else other than Prabhupada books.
mm, mm,
And the answers are all there. Prabhupada said everything is there.
mm,
We need to expose that, educate the the devotee population to understand. Because of this whole thing about, these guys are deviant and these guys are all, fanatic, no guru and all kind of nonsense labor they're putting on us. And without any references, without any evidences. Now here, today I'm showing you
mm,
everything I said.
mm,
I'm just showing you some places in the Prabhupada books, evidences.
mm.
And that's how in a court of law, everyone shows evidences, not simply label someone and that's it. Unfortunately, most of the people, that's why they like them, to keep them in that kind of situation. Give them no shastric evidences, just, oh, they are paradis, they have no gurus, they're bogus, they're this, they're that. As I said, give a dog a bad name and shoot him, no?
Mm. Yeah, it reminds me of in Christian history, there's something called the Reformation, which was in the 1500s. And before the 1500s and the 1600s, the Bible was only written, it wasn't written in local languages. So, for example, followers of Jesus in England didn't actually know what the Bible said. They weren't allowed to read it. Only the priest was allowed to read it. And the Reformation allowed the Bible to be translated into English so people could read Sastra for themselves.
Yes,
And they felt more empowered.
yes.
And this is a similar situation here. Allow people to read all of Prabhupada's letters and everything that he said everywhere.
You can see here in this verse what Prabhupada said about reading his books. Man becomes strong and stout by eating sufficient grains. But the devotee who simply eats ordinary grain but does not taste the transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna gradually become weak and fall down from the transcendental position. However, one drinks but a drop of the nectar of Krishna's pastime, his body and mind begin to bloom and he begins to
Mm,
laugh, sing, and
mm,
dance. Now, this is the part here. All the devotees connected with the Krishna conscious movement must read all the books that have been translated Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and others. Otherwise, after some time, they will simply eat, sleep, and fall down from their position. And thus, they will miss the opportunity to attain an eternal blissful life of transcendental pleasure. You see, this Prabhupada is giving.
mm,
So if you don't do this, don't read, and don't engage, then we're going to have problems. We'll fall down.
mm, mm,
See?
mm,
So it's so important, that we have to read his books.
mm,
That's why this morning class is so important. There's 5 things that one have to do. One of them is hearing the Bhagavatam.
mm.
Unfortunately, this is all watered down.
So, in terms of the ISKM, the International Sri Krishna Mandir, if people want to find out more about the ISKM and the Ritvik order, the best thing for them to do is to visit your website, is it, or go to your YouTube channel?
Usually they go into the YouTube channel. They also go to our Facebook channel. They also, follow us and our broadcasts and all that.
Mm,
So, and plus, if they are interested, I have a question and answer session every Friday. It's online. So, and coming on that, they can come in contact. And if they are in a particular place where one of our local devotees are around there, then they team up with them, and this way they get some association. And this way they can grow spiritually.
mm,
And if India, we recommend them to go to our temples in India and associate with our devotees there. And if they're outside, then we try to see how we can accommodate them. But nowadays, as you see, many things are done online.
mm.
A lot of people, just like you see, you are in your house, or I don't know, in your room or somewhere, but you are
I'm at home with this pretend background. It's wonderful. It's fun. It looks great.
reaching out to the, so many people every week, that's,
Mm,
you know. So similarly, this, as I've said, this internet thing it's a boom for us, that we can actually present our, you know, what we say, arguments and philosophy
mm,
and
mm.
evidence without any kind of a so-called, backlash from the so-called ISKCON authorities or whatever. What to
Well,
do?
I was just laughing because ISKCON yet hasn't banned the internet, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they tried to ban the internet in certain
Oh,
cities
they
or
tell all the
countries.
new men not to go into the internet at all,
It's
for
crazy.
fear that they will learn the truth.
What I'm going to do, Prabhu, I'm going to put with this podcast on both YouTube and Facebook. I'm going to put a link to your website and your YouTube channel, so people can get in touch with you and the team at the ISKM. I'm always keen to support anyone who's genuine and two trying to share Krishna consciousness with people, because billions, we can all argue amongst ourselves in the Hare Krishna, but ultimately billions of people around the world need Krishna consciousness.
Yes, yes. And they need to link with Prabhupada. That's the main thing. You know, it's the Prabhupada books that makes them, become a devotee.
And actually, it's very difficult to show this on but this is one of the original Bhagavad Gitas, 1972. So
Yeah.
we're also distributing those here at the Hare Krishna project. But
Helen,
yeah,
you also do that.
it's very important to read Prabhupada's original books that haven't been edited or changed or you know manipulated in any way.
Yes,
Um,
because, another verse here, you see here. And the Bhagavatam, this again is spoken by for the purport. I hope I got it right. This Lord Shiva voluntarily came to bless the sons of the king as well, do something beneficial for them. He personally chanted the mantra so the mantra would be more powerful, and advised that the mantra be chanted by the king's sons, Rajaputra. When a mantra is chanted by a great devotee, uh,
mm,
the mantra becomes more powerful. Although the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is powerful in itself, a disciple upon initiation receives the mantra from spiritual master, for whom the mantra is chanted by the spiritual master. It becomes more powerful. Lord Shiva advised the sons of the king to hear him attentively, for inattentive hearing is offensive. You see how? And everything Prabhupada said in the purport of the book is the mantra. So when you hear from a pure devotee, it goes, it acts. Why? Because the pure devotee is carrying Krishna in the heart. So he is able to give Krishna.
mm.
Okay? So it's very important. That's why Prabhupada's books, we all know how much potent is our preaching, come on. But when we give the book to someone, his life changes because Prabhupada is sent by Krishna.
Mm. Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. And you're distributing Prabhupada's original books in Singapore and elsewhere, are you, in different countries?
Problem is trying to get them is a little difficulty now,
Mm.
because they are stopping that book being printed, you see. So nevertheless, our whole attempt is to give Prabhupada to everyone.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. There's a limitation now of these books.
Yes.
Um, but hopefully it'll all be sorted soon by Krishna's arrangement. Um,
Even that, I have to just let you know that I was instrumental in getting this other called Krishna book inch.
mm,
I was instrumental in setting that up actually because I am the first one to sue there was a deviant group that was publishing Prabhupada books.
mm,
So we kind
mm,
of took up the case against them, in Singapore. And eventually, the BBTI and the BBT, they had a, court dispute, and the judge overruled the BBTI because it's not legitimate.
mm,
So that time Hansaduta happened to be still the trustee. So they were all worried what to do. So okay, they gave a new branch called Krishna Book Inch to print all the pre-77 books.
mm.
So I was, in that sense, a little instrumental in that too.
Great. Well done, you. That's quite encouraging to hear.
At least we can go and print these books, without, problems from
Great.
the BP.
Okay. Believe it or not, we've been talking for well over an hour or an hour and a half, even. I think what I'll do, I'll just say goodbye to the viewers at home, and then you and I can have a very brief debrief after. So if I just stop the screen share, or
Can
do
stop
you need to stop the screen share? I'm not sure. Ah, there we go.
that.
Okay, we're both back. So yeah, what I'll do with this podcast, I'll put all the links to the ISKM Facebook page, YouTube channel, etc., etc. It's been fantastic to have Sundar Gopal Prabhu as our 109th guest on this week's edition of the Hare Krishna Project podcast. I'm grateful to him for giving up his time, and I think he's being the first guest from Singapore as well, which is great. Great country to visit. Do not forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to hit that all important subscribe button so you can be kept updated about future podcasts. And also, if you're watching this on Facebook, to do the same, to like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. We do have a global audience now, and I appreciate the thousands of you that tune in every week. So until next week, I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Hare Krishna.